Hi, I'm Aarik Danielsen. I'm the Arts and Entertainment Editor here at the Columbia Tribune, and I'm here with Matt Crook, who, as I was just saying off camera, does a lot of things on the local music scene, whether it's record label, booking shows, and he's one of the main forces behind the Columbia Experimental Music Festival, which is coming up soon, October 5th through 7th. It's in a lot of different venues in the city, everywhere from venues you might expect, like Cafe Berlin, Rose Music Hall, to places like Firestone Bars Chapel at Stevens College, KOPN, Columbia Public Library, lots of different places around the city. And so, Matt, I wanted to ask you, first of all, you have been one of the main forces behind Dismal Niche Arts, which is a big music nonprofit in the city. You guys have done a lot of different tape and vinyl releases, and the festival was named for Dismal Niche the first couple of years. You guys have changed the name now to Columbia Experimental Music Festival. Why did that name change feel important to you?
Well, the first couple of years that we did the festival, it was more of a showcase for the label.
Yeah, sure.
We were actively putting out a lot more music, and so it was to showcase all these different artists whose albums we'd released throughout the year, and it was really had an emphasis on regional and local music, which I think the festival still does. However, more and more we've as we incorporated as a nonprofit and brought more people in from out of town, it seemed like the label name wasn't necessarily the best way to communicate what the festival was anymore. And so the name change, the slight rebranding, was a way to just more directly communicate with people exactly what they could expect. Not that calling it an experimental music festival gives you, an exact thing to expect, but usually when I would tell people, I put on this festival, Dismal Niche, they'd say, "Oh, what is it?" And I would say, "Well, it's an experimental music festival." And so, in an effort to more directly communicate with people, and in an effort to use something that's maybe less off-putting than the name Dismal Niche. People hear that it's dismal and they don't like it, and so or they think that it's going to be dark or weird or something. And, there might be aspects of that. And so, as we've tried to do more stuff with, our larger community, the public library. Workshops in schools and things like that. It seemed like a rebranding effort was in order.
Yeah, and what do you, I think lots of different people could define this lots of different ways. In the context of the festival, how would you kind of describe what experimental music is for people who may be a little bit on the outside of that?
Experimental music is a large enough umbrella to really fit a lot of things underneath it. So I wouldn't say that it's any one thing. I would say that a lot of the music that we bring is very experience-based. So it can be very challenging. It can also be very meditative and restorative. So experimental music, in my opinion, I guess, is experience-based and really challenges your mind and also lets it rest and be restored.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I know that one of the artists that's kind of maybe one of the more prominent or veteran artists on this year's lineup is Glenn Jones, who's an American guitar player. And you're a guitar player. That's one thing I didn't mention at the outset, is that you played in and lead several projects.
I dabble.
Yeah, you do. I wonder, for you as a guitar player, like what do you hear in Glenn Jones's music? What has his music meant to you over the years?
Well, Glenn's music I really like, because he's someone that doesn't have any classical training at all. And so I feel like his emphasis on feeling, like I'm saying, like this experience-based listening is at the forefront of what he's doing. So he's really trying to communicate emotions, and there's not a lot of theory and nothing like that to really get into the way of what he's trying to do. And I think that his music's just absolutely beautiful. I really like the way that he makes up his own tunings.
Okay, right.
He uses partial capos, where he'll hold down like the first three strings and then leave the bottom three open.
Huh.
And so there's a lot that I like about the American primitive style of guitar playing, which is like John Fahey and Robbie Basho. Right. And I think that there's a lot of people that do that, and I enjoy most of it. But I think that he is taking it to somewhere slightly different, and doing something that's not just imitating what John Fahey did 60 years ago.
Yeah, that's great. I know, having talked to you and obviously other folks who run different festivals in town, there's always kind of a mental wish list of people you'd like to bring, if the timing works out, that sort of thing. Who's somebody on this year's lineup, maybe outside of somebody like Glenn Jones, somebody else that you just felt like this was, I don't know, it was just really exciting for you to be able to kind of like dot those I's and cross those T's to bring that person in?
So headlining the festival is a trio called Here and Now.
Yes.
Which I guess they're leaderless, but the one that I originally reached out to was Tamika Reed, who's a cello player in Chicago, and she's now playing with the Art Ensemble in Chicago, classic free jazz group with like Roscoe Mitchell and so she's someone that is really changing the game as far as experimental music and jazz, and I think that she's an extremely exciting player, and it's really cool to have her.
Yeah, for sure. I know we've talked about this in years past. I know it's hard to prescribe or predict, but there are folks that maybe hear Experimental Music Festival, maybe don't know where their place is in that. Are there a couple of artists, or maybe one artist at this year's festival that you feel like if this was your gateway year into the festival, this was your gateway artist, maybe somebody whose music offers a lot of real natural points of access to come try to check out?
We have Benoit Poulard, who's from Seattle.
Okay.
And so he'll be playing a couple of different sets. He's playing one set at KOPN, which I think will be more of a kind of experimental folk singer-songwriter sort of set. And then he'll be doing another set at the at Senior Hall at Stevens College, which will be more of his drone-based and tape-looped music. So I think that he is an artist that is sort of at the forefront of popular experimental music, and you can kind of see different ways people can experiment with music, and I think he's a pretty accessible starting point.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, we're going to have coverage of the festival rolling out starting this Sunday and through the festival's run. So look for that at ColumbiaTribune.com. And Matt, where would you advise people to go if they want to find out more about the fest?
You can go to dismalniche.com, dismalniche.com. We have a full schedule and lineup of all the artists on there. You can just click on the artists and it'll take you to their websites where you can listen to their music. You can get festival merchandise, you can get passes at that site. So it's kind of your one-stop shop.
Great. And again, October 5th through 7th, there's going to be so many different venues around downtown and kind of campus area, so definitely lots of places that you can kind of jump in and get involved. So thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.